break down state and federal issues, showing how policy shapes everyday Americans. Engaged, balanced, and informative. That's our promise. And I'm your host, Mikhail Jenkins.
And this is Muhammad Alec joining in as usual, Mikkel. We've got a less than compared to what's been happening lately. Today's episode is a bit more relaxed.
Yeah, definitely a bit more relaxed. Still continuing with the updates of the Iran war and now negotiations and potential escalation, as well as diving into some SETCOM plans for the Strait of Hormuz that military officials have talked to Trump about yesterday. Diving into some underreported damage to U.S. bases, the oil price shocks, and kind of why Americans are paying more. And then going into Trump's press comments, new tariffs, and domestic politics as well, such as FISA DHS reconciliation, and then touching on AI, Department of Defense contracts, and then lastly, ending off with a post Supreme Court Voting Rights Act ruling and redistricting, kind of what has been happening since that ruling this week. So we're going to start first with the latest on Iran. So the White House envoy Steve Witkoff has since updated changes to the ongoing negotiations that reintroduced the nuclear issue as a core condition. This is all according to Axios, of course. And the revisions reportedly demand that Iran does not move any enriched uranium from sites damaged in strikes and does not resume nuclear activity at those facilities while talks continue. Multiple signs suggest that U.S. strikes on Iran could be imminent in the coming days. And President Trump says he is not satisfied with the latest peace proposal from Iran, which was sent to Pakistani mediators this morning. Iran denied Trump's claim of direct phone calls today. And I actually would believe Iran on this, just given all of the lying and back and forth, not just Trump, but this administration has done just on this war specifically that we're talking about it. And then you have their justice minister stating that the talks have occurred only through Pakistani mediation and written messages from the foreign minister without U.S. participation. And then, according to the Wall Street Journal, citing people familiar with the matter, Iran has allowed for more leeway on their terms for negotiations with the U.S. over a lasting ceasefire. Iran has dropped the precondition that the U.S. end the blockade of the Strait of Hormuz before negotiating on a ceasefire, and has also proposed discussing their nuclear program in exchange for a reduction of the U.S. sanctions regime. Iran has also reportedly signaled that it is prepared to return to the negotiating table in Pakistan as soon as next week. And a new Hill poll shows that 61% of Americans say a war with Iran would be a mistake, and it 100% has been a mistake.
Yeah.
And then now you have more currently President Trump with the whole war powers vote that was expiring today. So the War Powers Act was expiring today, that 60-day threshold. And he actually, just before we hopped on within the last hour, actually, he sent a letter to Congress basically stating that there are no more Iranian hostilities within this conflict that's going on. So he no longer needs that reauthorization of those 60 days. And that's not how it works. He's basically stating that with this ceasefire, that there was no, any hostility actions, taking place, and that it, pauses those 60 days. But obviously, legal experts have very conflicting perspectives on that. So it's eye-opening to see that he's just outright stating that the war is over and doesn't need congressional approval to continue any further attacks on Iran as we get into the SETCOM plans next.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, we've seen how much the executive branch in recent history has been all about really going to war using whatever excuse it can make up, and then saying like, oh, well, it's not an official war. We don't need Congress's approval for this. We don't need their insight into this at all. And so I don't think it's really a surprise to see Trump all of a sudden start saying the same thing publicly. I mean, he's one of the most war hungry presidents in the last decade or two, 2 decades, really, in the last 20 years since Bush. And I think what we're really going to see with him is that it's hard to assess where he stands with Iran because I mean I fully agree and see why the Iranians are like hesitant or stepping away from the negotiating table because one they saw negotiations with Hamas and Qatar, and they saw Israel bomb the negotiators, and then on top of that they're seeing Trump say one thing, say another, do one thing, do another, and literally
Yeah.
like in one press conference, he'll contradict himself like 10 times in 10 minutes. He'll be like, we won the war,
100%.
but there was no war. But I ended the war. It's the 10th war I ended, but there was never even a war because we were the strongest. We dominated, but they gave us a fight, but we dominated them. There was no war, but the war's done. Stuff like that. So it's like, how do you even negotiate with somebody who is that difficult to I would say difficult to read, but he's not difficult to read, more so
Just
difficult to figure out what he's gonna say now, you
yeah, it's
know?
very erratic. I mean, just
That's the word, erratic.
what, a few days ago when he had the press conference with the, NASA astronauts, and he pointed to the one guy with the big ears. It's like basically what you're saying, it's erratic. You have no clue what he's going to say. He basically made fun of that man on live TV,
Yeah,
about how big his ears were. But yes, Iran understands that, with Trump, there is no formal, diplomatic negotiating that will happen. It's just going to be a constant, disapproval of whatever Iran sends, as long as it doesn't include, no enrichment or anything like that. The United States won't hear it, and that's a fault of the United States because this war is going to continue on. It's basically going to be a stuck war at this point. Realistically,
yeah,
nothing's going to move since now you have Trump declaring that there are no more, Iranian hostilities happening within the region, so there's no need to reauthorize that, War Powers Act. So basically, it's at a complete standstill at this moment, and Americans are going to continue to see, rising costs in gas as we've seen within the last few days. It's gone up like 30 cents, almost a dollar in many other states. But this is all going to be exacerbated even more if Donald Trump truly does go through with the SETCOM plans, that our military officials have laid out for him in regards to the Strait of Hormuz. So the U.S. Central Command meeting had concluded, and President Trump was briefed for 45 minutes on a final blow strike options against Iran. Those options included a special forces ground operation to seize Iran's enriched uranium, IRGC leadership, and major Iranian energy infrastructure, according to two senior U.S. officials. The IAEA said this week that the majority of Iran's enriched uranium is still buried in the Isfahan tunnels, untouched by the airstrikes that Trump and Hegseth, during his testimony, stated that, during Operation, I think it was Midnight Hammer, that we obliterated their program, which is a complete lie.
yeah,
The IAEA director described that the only remaining option as a major U.S. military operation in this, hostile territory is just that, the ground operation to go in and get that enriched uranium. And then you have satellite imagery from the Sentinel-2 this morning shows Iran is still loading oil tankers at Crag Island, including massive crude carriers with no sign of shortage running out, directly contradicting Trump's claims that Iran is choking like a stuffed pig. So it's once again still tying back to his erraticness and him stating all of these false claims. And same thing with Hegseth. I know we covered his testimony in the, earlier podcast on Monday, but it's like these lies, it makes it hard to really, siphon through what's truly like happening out there on the field and what's truly, happening procedure wise, with this administration, because we see left and right it's just lie and lie and lie. And we know, and
I
the
mean,
public knows, and individuals that listen to this podcast know, that Iran is way more advantageous from this war than when it originally started. And with this now being stuck, and the strait being effectively still closed and blockaded, and all of these things still being in place, with Trump stating that the war is technically over, Americans are really going to be the ones that are going to be choking like a stuffed pig on all of the high cost that we are going to be seeing.
I mean, I think this is the administration that has really been it's normal for politicians to lie.
Yeah, 100%.
I
Yeah,
just
yeah.
wanna add that. I've never seen such bad lying in
Yes,
in my
such
life from
bad lying.
politicians. Like, you it's so blatant, it's so obvious, it's so clearly disproven. It just it's frustrating, and I can only imagine being a country that has to go to war with our nation and then has to deal with our erratic and very indignant administration that leads this country. And oh my
Yeah,
I'm interested to see what happens because
yeah,
I
yeah.
could throw 50 darts at 50 different options, and I bet I still wouldn't hit the right option of
Oh,
what's gonna
100%.
happen.
And you know all of these military actions are gonna happen right when the market closes.
Oh, yeah.
Literally,
Oh,
right when the
yeah.
market
Oh, yeah. The
closes, you'll
moment
see.
5 o'clock hits,
Yeah,
5:01 PM. Oh, yeah, we're
or
invading
not even,
Iran again.
possibly during the middle of the night, because
Yeah,
you still
well,
have,
give
like,
it
the
30
bond
minutes. Give
market
it
and
30
things like
minutes. Who
that.
knows? In 30
Yeah,
minutes,
30
we
minutes
might
while we're on
get
here.
breaking news.
We'll see if there's any more additional updates. But, yes, as we were, finishing off with this section, like, with the, war powers, piece of this, and basically they're arguing that, the US and Iran ceasefire that began on April 7th had effectively terminated, as they state, effectively terminated military action for the war powers resolution purpose. And that's has not been the case at all. There have been strikes that have taken place while this so-called ceasefire has been implemented within this time. But as I was saying, it's a stuck war that we're going to be in. No shooting, no peace, no shipping, and no crude oil. LNG, fertilizer, or helium is going to be flowing freely as this blockade still stands, and as it's now technically a standstill right now on this war, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And on top of talking about Trump, his lies, and a lot of the underreported information regarding Iran and their position, we're going to now move into the underreported damage to U.S. bases. So we're seeing a lot of reports that damage U.S. military bases in the Middle East from Iranian strikes have been significantly underreported. CNN is reporting that Iran strikes have wiped out many key bases across the region, leaving some facilities now completely unusable. And there were individuals stating that they have never seen this level of damage to U.S. bases across the globe. And it's just even more damning that not only is Trump getting a friendly filtration of this war, because we talked about how he has that 45-minute to an hour reel of various highlights of missile strikes and things of that
Yeah.
nature.
That's so funny to me. That's
And then,
so funny to
like,
me.
you pack that with the underreported military deaths, the underreported damage, the underreported information on Iran and really what's taken place. And it's kind of like, what is the direction that this administration is going with this war overall? It's
Yeah.
truly like, what was the prime benefit? Like, yes, we took out the supreme leader, but then his son came right in. And
Yeah.
yes, there's reports that state that their government is in two factions, the IRGC, and then the actual political officials are at odds with each other on some form of proposal and ceasefire to end this war. But we're seeing that they're putting out various lengths to be able to end this war, and even looking at their own enrichment, as we talked about, they were trying to soften their demands as well. So it's like, what have we gained from this? But nothing but high gas prices, high energy prices, high food prices, because farmers and fertilizer is being hurt drastically from this war. It's
Yeah.
like, what, there's been no true benefit from this, but I can say that the individual that has benefited in some way from this, it's Donald Trump. I mean, it was reported his net worth has tripled to about $64 billion.
I believe it, man. Oh my god, I believe it.
$64 billion is what
Now
his net worth is from his first term to now. $64 billion is how much that he has garnered, and it's only been a year and 5 months within his second term.
Yeah,
So that just
I
goes
you
to
see that graphic of, like, the Trump family wealth from when he assumed presidency the second time around till now, and it's like they've gotten, like, 2, 3 times wealthier in, like, a year, and they were already a wealthy family.
Oh yeah, they were very much already a wealthy family, and on any side of the aisle, it shouldn't be right to enrich yourself in the government in nefarious or suspicious ways across the board. Like even looking at like Nancy Pelosi and her net worth and how it's ballooned so much as well. And it's important to note that both of those individuals should still be looked at with a harsh criticism for making that amount of money while being in Congress. And if it's ethically done, then that's how it happens. But for a lot of individuals, it does not seem to be the case. And then from the Trump administration, doesn't seem to be the case either, because there is a lot of conflicts of interest that have taken form with the whole Liberty Financial um organization that the Trump family has, which is ran by the two sons. I do
I've been
believe.
very interested to see what's gonna happen with this because that is, like, a whole mess of,
Oh, the Democrats are going to
ethical
run with that
issues.
when they get in. Oh, they should. I mean, yeah, everything should be, yeah, ethics. They should have the top people on the ethics committee as chair, vice chair, and even as rank and file members on that committee, realistically, because there's going to be a lot of work they're going to have to do to truly uncover all of the dirt and grime
I
that and
mean,
corruption that has
just a
been
good example of it, even
permeated.
aside from, like, privatizing their own wealth gain on the expense of, like, the American people and just the citizens of the world. Even when UAE is a fantastic example, when they were trying to get permission to, buy chips from America and, like, and just, like, get into that market, then it was a big security issue of selling them to the UAE because of the risk of China and the partnership that China had with the UAE, whether or not that's what caused them to like you start using our chips. There was a lot of issues going on with it, but there was a block against UAE for buying chips from us.
Yeah.
They gave money to Trump's World Liberty Financial, and then next thing, like $1 billion or something like that,
Yeah.
and then
Yep.
next thing we know, UAE can buy chips from us.
Hmm.
So it's like not only is it like clear that they were using this for private wealth gain, but it's also like this is affecting our diplomacy. This is
Oh, 100%.
affecting how we negotiate with countries right now. And that's
Yeah.
it. I mean, we even see it domestically. We see people like if you just bring Trump money, you can get whatever you want. Really, it literally is what was the model. What the tariffs were initially.
Yeah, and we'll touch on that level of what's the word I'm looking for that? Pit
Quid pro quo.
quid pro quo when we get to the defense contracts in the domestic section. But now we're going to move on to really the oil price shock and why Americans are paying more. So there are a lot of listeners that are asking the big question. The USA produces more oil than any country in the world. So why are gas prices spiking because of issues over there, such as the Middle East and around the globe? Here's a clear answer. Oil is priced on the global market. Even if a barrel is pumped in Texas, its price is tied to global benchmarks like Brent and WTI. When there's disruption in the Middle East, global supplies tightens or is at risk, and prices rise everywhere, including here at home. The U.S. exports a lot of crude oil, a lot of light shale crude, but still imports heavier crude because many other refineries are built for it. Refined products like gasoline and diesel are also traded globally, and U.S. producers sell to the highest bidder. So we have not shot ourselves in the foot, as people like to kind of put it with all of this. And there is no domestic fuel shortage. We are simply seeing and feeling the reality of a global market. And that's really what all of the rises and gas prices that you're seeing here at home, that's what that's attributed to. It's not us, shooting ourselves in the foot. We are truly going through the reality of what a lot of experts stated was going to happen if this war with Iran had been initiated. and we're going all through it. And it's obviously 60% of individuals think that this war is a big mistake, and it continues to be seen as that every single day. And just in last week, we've seen some of the biggest 1 week gas price jumps in years. Indiana up $1.09 a gallon, Ohio up 94 cents, Michigan up 88 cents. Illinois up 56 cents. Colorado
Crazy.
up 47 cents. Kansas up 39. Kentucky up 36. Florida up 34 cents. Wyoming up 34 cents as well. And Wisconsin up 33 cents. And with
Crazy.
all
I
this,
see
yeah,
Maryland went up like 45 cents in a week.
yeah, yeah, New Jersey is just about in that same number range realistically. I mean, I've seen 4.39 at some Wawa gas stations in New Jersey.
Crazy.
Primarily does have the lowest gas prices across the nation. So to see us being at that 4.39 at Wawa, your 4.19, 4.29 at more local gas stations, it's still frightening because he stated that this blockade is going to be indefinite. So if it continues to be indefinite, we're going to see indefinite high prices, and they will definitely not fall back down anytime soon. And then, as all of this is going on, the administration is meeting with oil companies as they had met with the oil companies regarding Venezuela. And remember, ExxonMobil and Chevron were two individuals that had spoken out regarding Venezuela. And now they are also defying the White House with their calls to ramp up output. And the administration is now also invoking the Defense Production Act to pressure producers. And keep in mind,
Crazy.
most US
Crazy.
refineries are set up for heavy crude, while new domestic production is mostly light sweet crude. So basically, barrels are likely headed for export rather than lowering domestic prices. Time magazine notes that most Americans care deeply about inflation and gas prices, yet Washington seems to be moving in the opposite direction. Yesterday, he had a press conference where he stated, some reporter asked him, you do understand, or you have an idea that gas prices have jumped up almost $1 nationally.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Oh yeah, gas prices are going to go up, but I'm sure Americans feel safe about Iran not having a nuclear weapon." I'm like, in my head, I'm like, sir, your own
Nobody cares.
DNI, yeah, your own DNI officials have stated, and many other military officials have stated and testified on oath that Iran was not close to a nuclear weapon. And then you even had Hegseth changing the whole thing while he was under oath and stated that, oh yeah, it changed from stopping them to get a nuclear weapon to now we're trying to crush their ambitions for a nuclear weapon. It's like, how much further is this goalpost for this war truly gonna go? And it's gotten to the point where we're stuck. We're literally stuck in an indefinite conflict with Iran until the
Very
war needs to
familiar
stop.
and reminiscent of the Middle East situation with Afghanistan and Iraq before. We're stuck
Yeah,
there now.
yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it's basically what it is. We are stuck within this war orchestrated by Israel and foolishly led by the United States. And it's irrehensible the damage that has been done and will continue to happen to the United States economically, and diplomatically across the board. And it's frightening to really see that this president doesn't seem to care in any sense. 1.3 trillion budget for defense, but we can't do healthcare, childcare, all of those other things where Americans are spending around 70% of their paycheck on childcare, and that even childcare is now even more expensive than rent.
Oh, yeah,
But
it's
yet he
crazy.
wants
It
to,
is crazy.
yeah, but yeah, he wants to flaunt about wanting his ballroom and potentially using taxpayer dollars for that. It's the true definition of let them eat cake. But we're not at the full worst depths of it yet. We're almost we're edging on there very slowly, I would say.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not looking good. And King George said it the best. He said that, checks and balances are key to keeping authorities in check. And everyone applauded for it, but it seems like one side of the aisle is not hearing it. And that's all that we have just for our international section. Muhammad, did you have anything more to add?
Honestly, not really. It's been, not too many developments in the last few days. I mean, between Lebanon still getting hit, the Iran situation still ongoing, nothing going on with Taiwan. They, all in all, kinda tame last 2 days, honestly.
Yeah, definitely tamed last few days and check back on Monday because I'm sure there's going to be a lot more bombs dropped over the weekend for our international peace.
I'm telling you, man, the moment 501 hits, I'm, like, waiting to see some kinda Truth Social post calling for the eradication of a civilization again. I'm like, "Oh
Yeah, well, I
my
mean, look,
god,
he has the
someone
look. We
get this man
yeah,
on his meds."
we walked through the SecCom plan. So if anything, that's going to be what happens. We may wake up at like 3, 4, not able to sleep. I usually check my phone just on X to see what's going on since we now have this podcast. I got to bookmark everything that's out there. So
Yeah.
I always do that to try to see like what's actually going on. And I remember when we were bombing Iran, I woke up, checked my phone. I was like, oh shit. I was like, we actually went ahead with this.
Yeah,
And now
I
look where
actually
we
went
are.
ahead with this. Twitter's I tell the one good thing about X is that they're good with it's good with news. I still call it
Yeah, it is
Twitter.
very good
Honestly,
with news.
Twitter's
I
just
I do
much
appreciate,
nicer.
yeah, I truly agree with that. Its news portion is in very quick as well, honestly, especially on the legislative pieces, and that's what we're gonna move on to now. First, starting with Pfizer, DHH, and House GOP drama. So, on the legislative front, Speaker Mike Johnson faced a bruising hell week, but ultimately pushed several key GOP bills through at a cost. Republicans say Johnson's habit of last minute contradictory promises to keep his slim majority working is catching up to him. This week, he quietly cut a deal on the floor with a rival GOP faction and reneged on a previous agreement with farm state Republicans. Some members confronted him directly. Representative Ann Wagner yelled bullshit at the speaker when he tried to explain Johnson is now promising a future vote on E15. E15 is that ethanol 15 that we've talked about in previous episodes, and that is a key piece to that farm bill. But Republicans expect that vote will likely fail since it's no longer attached to a must pass bill. So I completely understand where Representative Ann Wagner is coming from because they could very well start to vote with Democrats on a lot of different issues just to spite Johnson and him reneging on this bill. Representative Max Miller, a longtime critic of Johnson, has stated that without question he will vote against keeping Johnson as leader in the next Congress. So get ready for all of those leadership votes to take shape once again. I think it took Johnson McCarthy, like what, 15 times, 15 various votes just to get them approved into leadership. And, there are also reports that GOP caved on several Democratic demands through reconciliation as it comes with DHS because they passed the DHS bill that does not have the funding for ICE or CBP. So mind you, longest government shutdown about 20 or 30 days ago, the Senate sent that same bill over to the House. The House went away for recess and did nothing. Sat on
Yeah.
their hands while DHS employees didn't get paid, while your flights lines got longer or delayed or canceled. These individuals went home, and that same bill that the Senate, who have been dutifully doing their job, the House hasn't done anything, and instead they had all of this chaos take hold, and then they ultimately just ended up passing the Democrats' bill overall. So it's like, Johnson, you are very much showing how incompetent he is when it comes to his own
I feel he's probably,
GOP.
like, the most hated person within his own party.
I mean, like, I would equate Johnson to Schumer and Thune to Pelosi in effectiveness wise. Um, Pretty much is how I would look at it. I mean, you can even throw Jeffries in there, even though he's just majority leader with Johnson as well. But yeah, it's like what? It's like how are you not able to have the bill that your colleagues in the other chamber passed while both leaderships, as in Johnson and Thune, put out a joint statement about them, being in agreement on the bill, and then he's once again reneging, and then we had all these days of chaos, about 70 something days of this shutdown, and now it's finally over, with them caving to Democratic demands. So this is a win for Democrats, for DHS employees. And also, it's a win for immigration as there's now going to be a holistic review at ICE and Custom Border Patrol, as there could be certain reforms that will now be implemented through legislative procedures within the next few legislative sessions, because now they're in recess at this point, I think until May 13th ish. So that's when they will be back. But yeah, that's for the, legislative front. Actually, oh, no, I actually do want to I forgot to mention this,
What?
for that, the FISA bill also passed as well. I believe it was just a 45-day extension that they gave. So that now goes into June. So now they just basically punted the FISA debate all the way till June. So now there is unwarranted surveillance collection on Americans that is going to continue to resume. And then also, what was important? It was there was a big win by Massey, and I believe Representative Luna Paul. I believe it was still regarding the farm bill, but I believe it had to deal with stripping out protections for pesticide companies in terms of cancer or things of that nature. So there have been some good that has come out of this legislative week from the House and the Senate. And be sure to catch us back on Monday with some possible more updates on some legislative fronts, depending upon what the House ends up doing. And now we're going to move to AI DoD contracts, Anthropic's blacklist, and job replacements. Shifting to AI and national security today, the Department of Defense entered into agreements with seven of the world's leading frontier AI models and infrastructure companies to deploy frontier capabilities on the department's classified networks. SpaceX, OpenAI, Google, NVIDIA, Reflection, Microsoft, and Amazon Web Services, every major American AI company got the call except Anthropic. And remember, that's the company that the Pentagon blacklisted as a supply chain risk because they would not allow their AI to be used for military and autonomous drones reasons. Let that sink in. Yet, the Pentagon's own CTO has admitted that they need Anthropic's Mythos model, which is the only AI capable of finding and patching cyber vulnerabilities across military networks. OpenAI signed its deal just hours after Anthropic was banned, and Sam Altman admitted it looked opportunistic and sloppy. Meanwhile, all this, Meta is threatening to shut down Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp app in New Mexico after the state sued them for child safety failures. A jury found
Oh,
Meta
I didn't hear
liable.
about this.
Yeah, a jury found Meta liable and fined them $375 million. Meta's response: the required changes of age verification, separate teen accounts are quote unquote too hard. So they'd rather leave the state than protect kids, basically. And these are the companies that are now have this deal with the Department of Defense. And the state attorney general called it a PR stunt and noting Meta routinely rewrites its own rules and bends to dictators for market access, but draws a line at protecting children in New Mexico. So that's just that just gives you a snapshot of the level of morality that these companies truly have. They just only want your information and that's it. They don't care about any of those dangers
I mean,
that
you
they
are the
always speak
product is
about.
what they say, like, they
Yeah.
really mean that.
No, seriously. But with this whole the DoD contract and Anthropic being left out, it seems like they were the only one that has the capabilities of protecting the most important security door within the United States, but yet they're being blacklisted because they have an ethical backbone. That is just ridiculous. So we're just allowing our military capabilities to be on these AI servers and so forth, but we don't even have the best AI model to be able to patch up security networks and things of that nature. Like it just truly is. It's a fearful thing to see because not only do you obviously had you've had the fears of sleeper cells and so forth, and unmanned drones flying over Rubio and Hegseth's house, and even the four missing drones from that U.S. base that we reported on a few weeks ago. Like all of these things are really feels like it's pointing to some form of horrible either cybersecurity attack or actual attack on the United States in some form or way. And I really hope that is something that just doesn't happen because that is
Yeah,
the last thing that we need on American soil, honestly.
yeah.
And on the job fronts regarding AI, funny enough, a Chinese court, mind you, has ruled that companies cannot legally fire employees simply to replace them with cost-saving artificial intelligence. I truly think America needs to have a whole law class course on this because it just doesn't make sense. How do
I
we
mean,
have
what we're
China?
doing with AI and the law behind it, you can make nude photos of people, and that's not illegal.
Yeah,
It's
literally.
insane.
Literally, but I mean, just the fact that you have a Chinese court that has ruled that that practice is illegal, and we've been seeing it in high levels, left and right, from all of these AI companies. I remember the one time I was reading a thread on X, someone tweeted out basically how they felt so emotional and so hard on themselves, and just felt terrible for eliminating about 60,000 jobs because of AI. It was just whole lengthy response, this whole lengthy X post, and then someone just added Grok and say, "Can you put in simplistic terms why this person fired 60,000 people via email?" And it was because of AI, and
Yeah,
it's literally because of AI. And it's also important to note that Elon Musk, and I give credit where credit is due to the Forward Party and Andrew Yang, who was really the first individual speaking about the universal basic income. Elon Musk tweeted today that UBI will end up being a concrete policy, or will be needing a concrete policy, given all of the economic and employment damage that AI will do to future generations. Like even just look at our generation here. We're seeing our jobs starting to get taken up left and right by AI. And even now, there are AI models being reported that they can diagnose better than doctors.
yeah. I mean, in an ideal world, this is in an ideal world, AI is
Mm-mm-mm.
used to help improve the lives of humans. And the current world is being used to improve the lives of the people who make the AI.
Yeah.
So
I
it's
mean, it's
like,
either we go Star Trek or we go Terminator. And it seems
yeah,
like we're going Terminator route at this point.
yeah. Honestly, I hope we don't go Terminator out, but it's not with how violent we are as a species. I don't expect anything else, honestly. Like, great
Yeah.
movie, honestly. If you guys haven't seen Terminator, somehow haven't seen Terminator, fantastic movies. The first 2 are phenomenal.
Fantastic movie.
Third one's great too, but the third one is, like, just much more of, like, an action movie than it is, like, action
Yeah.
horror.
The second one's
First 2 are
Judgment Day.
terrifying.
Yeah, Judgment Day is very good, but also had to add this if you didn't know this either, Muhammad. I think I might have said it on the podcast, but Terminator and The Matrix are connected if you didn't know that.
I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
so the Terminator is connected to The Matrix. I think the way that it pans out is the Matrix is first, and then it's the Terminator, then it's the Matrix. So they send the machines have to go back to kill John Carter, who becomes one and the same Neo. so that Neo doesn't wake up in the future Matrix and
Yeah,
starts and basically wins the war, basically. Like
yeah.
it like the book author of Terminator is the
That's it?
same book
I didn't
author
know
of,
that.
The Matrix, and The Matrix is a
Is it the
great
same
movie.
author?
Yeah, great movie. I think I always say that the Matrix is a documentary, and it seems
Yeah,
like with them both being tied together, that the Terminator might be a
documentary.
documentary as well. But these are very scary times that AI is increasingly encroaching to. Like I know that the government has talked about their autonomous drone swarm, and that gives me chills just thinking about some Marvel movies with Winter Soldier, and that literally whole premise of what the government is doing. They made a movie about it,
Yeah.
and show just the dangers behind it, and show how no true AI can fully tell an individual is going to cause a irreprehensible act, and that's how you got the bombing of that school that killed 170 schoolgirls.
Yeah.
It's because the AI, in previous times, that school was used for military bases, but the AI didn't update and or recognize that that was now a school. So
Or
you can
maybe a more inhumane route. I mean, they've done, war models using AI bots, I mean, not AI bots, but AR models before,
yeah,
and 85% of the time, 85% of the time, the AI, models recommend nuclear warfare. They
yes,
don't
yeah,
care about human life like humans do. They think about, "Our goal is to exterminate the enemy. We're gonna give you the best option of exterminating the enemy." Which is
literally,
nuclear fire. So when
yeah.
but just to give a further example is just that in these instances, these AIs just even if they're not directly programmed to what's the word? To be fully up to date on the information. Say they are fully up to date on information, have every second is fed into them with new info, so they know exactly what's happening, where it's happening. They still don't care about the human cost of death.
Yeah, there's
It,
no morality compass that they can have,
it
and
doesn't have one. Yeah.
yeah, it has no moral compass. That like it's like that one movie that just came out about it's Chris Pratt, the Jessica, what's her name? The girl who is Paul Atreides' mom in Dune. Jessica Ferguson, I believe is her name. Yes,
I
those
don't know.
two, and it's some AI court system where it judges you, and you have like 24 hours or something to prove you're innocent or something like that. Completely insane, but I'm like, that's the crap we're gonna be headed to.
Yeah.
Realistically, that's literally the avenues that
It's
we're heading
scary.
to with all
It
of
is
this going on.
scary.
Very s It is very, very scary, and on top of all of those AI, dangers, and also let's not for I don't wanna leave this out too before we get to the last section on, post Supreme Court, Voting Rights Act ruling redistricting, AI data centers as well. At least like 60 to 70% of them are getting pushed back and or suspended, while you also have them eating up around 60 to 70% of various states' energy. That rises the cost of all the constituents with living within those states. I've
Dude,
seen reports of
I'm using less electricity than
yeah,
I was
yeah, bro.
last year, and I'm paying more.
Exactly, it's ridiculous, and you have
Yeah.
individuals who are paying 600, 800, 700, $900 more because of these, data centers, and there needs to be legislation that sets out how these data centers need to provide rebates to the Americans that are facing these and paying these gas that are paying these high electricity prices because the state allows them to build them within the state. Like, no, Americans need to get some form of relief from this, because if we're not going to get relief from the tariffs, we're not seeing relief at the pump. This is one way we should be able to get some form of
Relief.
relief.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's ridiculous. But now we're going to move on to the Supreme Court Voting Rights Act ruling. And I'm going to step away for like 2 seconds.
Feel free, feel free. Damn, I actually just had those notes up here. Let me pull up the notes. So while Mikhail's gone, I'll go ahead and start talking about this. So the Supreme Court's Voting Rights Act ruling has allowed several states has opened the ability for several states to begin taking action or suspending elections to redraw maps. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries and Democrats are already targeting more states for aggressive redistricting, and a new Fair Fight Action report finds that Democrats could redraw from anywhere from 10 to 22 additional House seats for the party in time for the 2028 elections if they move quickly in 7 key states, potentially offsetting the GOP's post-SCOTUS advantage. So, Mikhail, what do you think? What's it looking like in terms of things that Democrats, how many seats they can grab, and versus the Republicans due to the change, due to the new, what's the word I'm looking for? Developments of this.
I think that Democrats can come off very well from this. I think that just look at New Jersey for a moment. Mikey Sherrill has stated today that she would look at redistricting for New Jersey and effectively putting it at a 11-1 state, basically 11 blue, 1 red, with the 1 red being the fourth legislative district for anyone that lives in New Jersey. But then outside of that, you have I believe Louisiana is suspending their elections because of the new revelations of this map. So now you have black voters within that state who feel like they're not going to have a voice in their election because they aren't, because they're going to redraw that map. That's going to benefit the political party because that's the only way that now these maps can be written. Has to be through political affiliation. It can no longer be through racial, geographical barriers and or boundaries. And it's interesting as well that the timing of this opinion, because not only is it in a time frame where it causes a lot of electoral and redistricting chaos, but it's just at the point where you have some states who can go ahead with further redistricting and so forth, and then you have other states who won't need to go through with it. So it's at a very very interesting point where they let this ruling come out to where states are now scrambling to see what's possible, what are the numbers going to be and going to continue to look like as states go ahead and either remove their redistricting bipartisan committees and just do it the legislative route or the referendum route, which California and Virginia have both done. So
Yeah.
it will be very, very, very interesting to see that landscape, but as well as sticking with the electoral landscape, I love to see that Tallarico is doing almost double digits better than
Dude's pulling some massive money in
yeah,
that camp.
massive money, as well as pulling very good poll numbers across the board,
Yeah,
and he's
so
definitely
glad
going to
he
be the
won.
senator. He's definitely going to be the senator without a doubt.
I wonder what
And
the
then
odds like that on Polymarket or something.
yeah, so I've actually so I am on Polymarket, and on the political side of things, I've only really seen it's just House Senate race, and then uh interest rates. Yeah, I'm gonna be able to see those three things. I those three things. I think on Kalshi, there's probably a lot more that you can do and or look at to bet on. But yeah, you have Talarico performing extremely well. Excited for that final general election in November, as well as you have Susan Collins dropping, not Susan Collins, what's her name? Janet Mills. Yes, Janet Mills dropping out of the main US Senate race. And now we
Yeah,
have
I was
Graham
wondering when
Pat
it would happen. Like, the woman wasn't airing commercials, she wasn't spending any money, she was getting out
no,
polls. It was like, now it's just basically
outpolled
Graham
by a mile.
versus Collins now.
Yeah, Graham versus Collins, and I'm very excited to see what that's going to be like because he's a stand-up individual. I don't want to say great because I know he's had issues in his past, but he's overcome them, and that's what makes him a stand-up individual. He made mistakes, stood up on it, is holding accountability for it, as well as being transparent about it. Something that a lot of these members have not done or will never
He
do
just seems like a normal
within their
guy to
past.
me, which is the thing
Yeah,
about it.
he's an oyster farmer for Christ's sake. I mean, he modest living, I would imagine, and just really cares about Maine. And I really do hope he wins. But this is also a huge revelation on the Democratic Party because Schumer put up Mills as a candidate to try to beat Plattner, and I mean, obviously we saw how it happened. She ended up dropping out. So you have Bernie Sanders and that progressive coalition that really got behind Plattner and pushed him and will continue to push him through the goalposts. And hopefully he is the new U.S. Senator of Maine. But you are seeing that Tea Party ness within the Democratic Party start to take shape and actually start to win. First, you had Malinowski losing to Meha, and then her eventually winning, and now being in the Congresswoman from New Jersey. And then you have Tallarico rising to the top. And then you also have Plattner as well, now leading the field for the Democrats in Maine. This is very much a turn. And
Things are
it's
changing. Things are
yeah, things are
absolutely
changing.
changing.
Things are very much changing, and as these things change, sometimes your own, political compass changes. Like, I don't think I stated on here, but I've always viewed myself as a blue dog Democrat, so I do have to send those to you too. I took a couple political compass tests, and turns out I'm a moderate left libertarian. I read up
Moderate
on
left
it. Yeah, moderate
libertarian.
left libertarian. I was like, "That's a
You do
mouthful."
not say
I know.
libertarian things. You'll have
But
to
when it
give me
comes to
we'll have to talk more, even more,
no,
because
yeah, we
you
can
do not
definitely.
give me the feeling of a I'm much more libertarian than you are.
Well, I think on the terms of, personal freedoms, I think
Oh,
the
yeah,
government
do
should
whatever you
not
want,
be.
as long as it doesn't
Yeah,
affect other
that's
people.
how yeah, that's where that libertarianism comes from. Like, I'm still like, you should be on like, there should be a lot of things within your normal life that you don't have government intrusion in. However, there are certain aspects that government can assist you if you aren't, let's just I don't wanna say, like, fully developed in life because,
Nah,
like, what does
screw
that
the
mean?
federal government. The
But,
less
like,
federal government there is, the better.
no, there
And
are
that's
some instances where the federal government can provide support for Americans as well as the state. It shouldn't be a heavy-handed gesture. However, when it comes to crises and certain things, we've unfortunately needed to, make up our programs and infrastructure in a certain way that has led to a heavy hand of government. And you could honestly say that all came from uh Republicans, from all the nonsense that they do with government before a Democrat gets in, like how we got to World War II, Great Depression, all that stuff. You've had, yeah, I mean, I'm being serious. Iraq War and all that stuff. All of those instances, you have the Republicans messing it up, messing up the economy, messing up the social safety network, messing up employment, all of those things. And then you have the Democrats come in who are now viewed as the big government bullies, and they put in all of these institutes and pieces and various programs that stand the test of time and have helped millions of Americans. That's where my thinking and thought process come from, is when it's that left libertarianness from it. And on the moderate side of things, I think that's on the fiscal pieces, on how the government should be tied into the economy and government and things of that nature. But yeah, it's definitely interesting to see how my views have changed from when I picked up, the first Bernie Sanders book in 2016
Yeah,
to basically
yeah.
10 years from now, basically. So I definitely encourage everyone to do those tests and always just question your own values when it comes to politics, because sometimes you never know. You never know truly where your values do lie. And then after you do, just take that test, go a step further, and start looking at various pieces of literature, philosophy, and things of that nature. So you start to fully understand and grasp that political ideology and how it aligns with your thinking. So when it comes to elections, when it comes to listening to us on Behind the Ballot, you have a expert a individual expert breakdown of your own political thought process so you know how to take information and screen it through your own mind, as well as being able to step away from that and look at things with a nonpartisan eye. And that's the latest landscape that I have for today. I know that was a little mouthful at the end, but it is important to always know where your political beliefs, values, and morals lie. Because if you don't know, you'll just be swayed in any way possible. Muhammad, you
Yeah,
got
I
anything?
agree. No, I agree. Sorry, my cat just decided to jump up on my table right then and there.
No, all good.
Damn. I mean, there's a thing that I like that actually something my mom told me when I was younger that I really agreed with. But she basically just said, if you don't read the Quran yourself, you'll never know what it actually says, and anybody can tell you anything of what's in there, and then based off your morals and what you believe, you'll believe what they say, even if you don't know what's actually in there. And
Mm,
that's kind of what I've applied to a lot of life. Like just because someone's telling me something doesn't mean that's actually verifiably true, or
yeah,
someone might be
yeah.
manipulating me, telling me a lie to get my support, or someone might just be flat out wrong. And I mean, it's really just as much as you guys can, to the listeners, to ourselves, go out there and read. Just read, look for information, study, be as pious, dutiful, and studious as you can. They really knowledge is power. Really mean that.
Yes, knowledge is truly power, and we appreciate our listeners for joining as always, and thank you for joining us today on Behind the Ballot, where we keep politics engaged, balanced, and informative. Stay curious, stay critical, and as always, please stay involved. I'm Mikkel Jenkins, and until next time, keep looking beyond the headlines and behind the ballot. And we are looking to have some special guest episodes queued up in the next few weeks. So definitely look out for those and spread the message about the podcast. Let's get our subscriber count up. We are at 37. So we appreciate those 37 individuals who subscribed. And we just really look to expand our message and expand our subscribership. So thank you as always.
And this is Muhammad Alk also adding, thank you guys for listening. We really appreciate you guys' support. And, hopefully we see you guys next time. God bless you all. God bless America and have a good day.
Yep. Go Sixers. Go Flyers. Let's go
Wow, well,
Philadelphia,
go
baby.
Ravens.